Hello everybody, welcome back to the course, and today we're going to be looking at a widely used statement in Java, which is an if statement. Now I am at Eclipse and I'm going to be doing the usual stuff. I'm going to open a Java project and create a Java class. I'm going to name this project if statements. And then by right-clicking in if statements folder, I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to name it my application. Now let's create our entry point. Main, control space, enter. And for a correct format, let's click Ctrl Shift F. Now by the end of this course, you will know exactly what each of the words in main method will mean, so you don't have to worry about it right now. Now we're gonna go back to our Boolean variables. So until now we've seen the comparison sign, which looked like this. However, we also have other signs that return true or false, in other words, that return a Boolean value, and we're going to be looking at them right now. So we're going to create other Boolean variables. Now we can call the variables by the sign name. For example, comparison not equals. This is, for example, to test if a number or a Boolean variable is not equal to another one. For example, 3 is not equal to 4. This will return true. If we do 3 not equal to 3, it will return false. Another sign that we could use here is equals. You should know the difference when you have 1 equals and 2 equals. So 1 equals means that you're assigning a value to the variable. And if you use 2 equal signs, you're testing the equality. So you're testing if 5 is equal to 5. This will return true. But if you do 5 equals to 9, that will of course be false. So if we print our variables, this out, control space, all of them will print true. So as you can see, they all print true. But if we change the numbers or values, they will print false. So 3 is not less than 2. Here we're saying that 3 is not equal to 3. Here we're saying that 5 is equal to 4. So all of them are false. Okay, so let's use these conditions in an if statement. An if statement should look like this. You have the if keyword and you open the parenthesis. The condition goes within the parenthesis, as in while statements, and you also have the curly braces. Let's say right here that 3 is not equal to 10, and we're gonna open the curly braces. Here we're gonna put some text. Now, if this condition right here returns true, the text right here will be printed to the console. But if not, then nothing will be printed to the console. So the condition is true and our statement is printed to the console. But if we say 10 is not equal to 10, then nothing will be printed out. Of course, we can also use variables in here. We're going to create an integer variable, int amount, let's say 20. And we're going to say here amount, it equals to 20. We need here a semicolon, which will result false, and nothing will be printed out. Now, while using if statements, you often want to take an action, right? If this results false, you want to take another action. So you can also use else. You open the same curly braces. If this statement results false, instead of not printing anything to the console, the control will go to else. It will be printed this statement in here. So we can run it. If this action cannot be made and it results false, then this action will be made instead. But if this condition in here returns true, the else statement will not do anything. So for example, if we do amount is less than 21, this is true, and the line within else statement will not be printed. Now what we could also do is create an else if statement and put another condition in here. Let's say the amount is greater than 30. Let's change the value here to 20, and if we run this, nothing will be printed. This is false and this is false as well. In this case, what we could do is add an else statement. Now, if none of the statements above match the criteria, this else statement will be printed out. By the way, you can have as many else if statements as you want, and you can test as many variables as you want in here. So if I say here that amount is less than 22, then the first one will be printed out. None of the following else if statements will be printed out. If I say, for example, right here 35, then the else if statement will be printed out. And if all the tests result to false, then this else statement will always be printed out. Now, another interesting thing that's worth mentioning in here is that with an if statement you can control loops. So for example, we've seen while loops in previous lectures. I'm going to set this to 0, and I'm going to say amount is less than 6. Then I'm going to open the curly braces, and here I'm going to write sys out in the loop. So you know that if I run this, we're going to have an infinite loop. So as we mentioned in previous lectures, we have to update the variable in the condition. So you already know that amount plus plus is adding 1 to amount for every iteration. So if we run this, you see that our statement is printed 6 times in the console. However, another way of controlling this loop could be with an if statement. So if we delete the condition, if we say this loop will always be true, it will run infinitely, but we add here an if statement. For example, if amount equals to 6, open the curly braces, and we say break. This is the same thing as controlling the loop from this condition. So we previously set the condition right here. Now we're controlling it with this if statement. So this keyword break right here will break out the loop as soon as the amount equals to 6. So if I write right here sys out of the loop, now as you can see in here, when the amount equals to 6, the break will jump out of the loop, so none of these will be executed. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. Don't forget to practice loops, and see you next time.